Opening day 2015 had all the pomp, but no circumstance. The Marlins fell short against the Braves. Wipe the slate, turn the page. As a Red, he was an ace. Now Matt Latos is back home, and he's a Marlin, and he's ready to go. Game 2, Marlins and Braves. Yesterday was opening day. This is opening week. And yes, the plate swept, page turned, Marlins and Braves. Game 2 in Miami with the roof closed tonight, I might add. And the Marlins and the Braves ready to go. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. 2015 started for the Marlins a little tight. A little anxious, and I know everybody in the clubhouse anxious to get Game 2 underway.
Yeah, I think so. Once you get all the hoopla out of the way with opening day, for some teams it works, for some teams it doesn't. There are a few little things that the Marlins would like to tighten up. Some things didn't work last night in the game, and hopefully tonight they will.
Well, you've got the big bats, not only Stanton's, but in front of him and behind him. But you're right, in this day and age, you still have to do those little things.
You know, I think we're seeing more of that in this era of baseball, that you have to do those little things to win games. And last night, between the lines, some of the little things didn't happen. First off, a balk was called on Henderson Alvarez, and that moved a runner into scoring position. Secondly, Giancarlo tried to take third. He thought the base was open, a little hesitation, and it cost him. How about Eric Young Jr.? A great effort by Marcell Ozuna, but the ball got away, and Young ended up at second base. He got to third on a sack and came in to score. Great base running by EY on that ground ball by Markakis. So, you know what? The little things just didn't happen. And then with Saltalamacchia at the plate, you were hoping for a fly ball, something on the ground somewhere else, but it was just at the third baseman. The Braves turned the double play. And to conclude everything, Brett Butler said he had never seen that happen before. It was a perfect bunt. Would have been a base hit for D. Gordon. Maybe next time.
That was emblematic of how the night went for Miami. This is a big night for the Marlins because Matt Latos makes his Miami debut. He was at the very first Marlins game ever played as a 5-year-old. The Fish are counting on him, especially to build that bridge to get to Jose in late June.
Rich, I think this is a big year for Matt Latos. He's only 27. He had 16 starts last year, had knee surgery, so he missed some time. A healthy Matt Latos, the Marlins would love to see the Latos that pitched for the Padres in 2010. He won 14 games, and he was 8th in the Cy Young voting.
So Matt Latos takes aim at the Braves. And tonight, our first Twitter Email Tuesday, where you can be part of the telecasts. First pitch, right around the corner. emails and tweets tonight. We welcome in Jessica Blaylock. Jessica?
That's right, Rich. It is Tuesday. You know what that means? It is the first Email Twitter Tuesday of the season. We're going to have so much fun tonight. Marlins fans, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to interact with our broadcast. Be sure to send all of those tweets to @FoxMarlins. Remember to use that hashtag Twitter Tuesday. All your emails can go to foxmarlins@gmail.com. Send us pictures from opening day, your thoughts on the game, or any question you may have, and you just might make it into the broadcast. And while you're on Twitter, be sure to give all of the Marlins players a follow. Let's take a look at their handles. You can follow D. Gordon at the handle @FlashG Jr. That's a tribute to his father, Tom Gordon. You can find new first baseman Michael Morse at MCO38, and Christian Yelich. That's an easy one. It's @Christian Yelich. Again, send all of those tweets to @FoxMarlins and all of those emails to foxmarlins@gmail.com. Rich, back to you.
All right, thank you, Jess. As the Fish get ready to take on the Atlanta Braves. The Braves at 1-0. The Fish would like to even their record. Matt Latos, his Marlin debut. When we get back to Marlins Park. By Toyota. Let's go places. Tonight we're in Miami as the Marlins and the Braves play game 2 of the season. Matt Latos takes the mound. Latos, the 27-year-old, Coconut Creek High School, Broward Community College. The inaugural game in 1993. He was 5 years old and he was there. And he'll face this Braves lineup. Brought to you by JM Lexus. EY Jr. is in center field. Jace Peterson is at second. Nick Markakis, who had 2 RBIs last night, is in right field. Freddie Freeman, who was in the 3 spot all of last year, slides into the 4 spot. Christian Bethencourt will do the catching and hit 5th. Kelly Johnson in left field. Chris Johnson, who sat out last night, is at third base hitting 7th. Andrelton Simmons hits 8th. And the lefty, Alex Wood, on the mound for Atlanta. There's a look at Matt Latos.
Well, he had a couple of injury problems last year. Knee surgery, had a torn meniscus in his left knee, and at the end of the year he had bone spurs removed from his elbow. But Matt Latos is a young pitcher. He's just 27, and he has had some success. He's won 60 games. He's lost 45 in his career pitching for San Diego. and the Cincinnati Reds. And I think a very important year for Matt Latos. He's a free agent after this year. I think he'd like to stay healthy, and certainly the Marlins hope so.
Well, the Braves last night scratched out a run in the first. They scratched out another one in the sixth, playing little ball. The Marlins helped with a couple of mental mistakes. And here is speedy Eric Young Jr. to start the night. And Latos with a fastball that darts in. Pinch a penny brings you the first pitch. Latos last year 16 starts. Tommy described the 2 surgeries. He was 5-5, ERA in the low 3s. And a strike to the Braves center fielder, Mike Redmond. And the Fish last night, Redmond admitted they were a bit tight to start. With a lot of new faces, big expectations. One of the things Frank Menechino, Miami's hitting coach, talked about was not trying to do too much. Brett Butler said every time he opened a season on an opening day, he found himself trying to do too much.
Yeah, it's just tough to get around. I mean, the adrenaline is going, and that's it's interesting. It's a different adrenaline, but it's very similar to postseason. And the teams and the guys who are in postseason a lot know how to control that adrenaline a little bit better.
3-1 to Eric Young Jr. Not a guy you want on base if you're the Marlins. Latos with a fastball for a strike. Fastball, slider, curve, and a good changeup for Latos.
You know, because of his 6'6" frame, he's got great downward spin with that slider as well.
And he did not have that for much of the spring, but his last start against the Houston Astros, he said all of a sudden that downward plane came back to him. He was admittedly rusty, and the Marlins saw that. Certainly the injuries and just the 16 starts last year contributed. He's 3-2 on Eric Young Jr. And he's up. And so EY Jr., who can really run, now resides at first base for the Braves.
Well, we saw Eric Young dazzle on the base paths last night, scoring from third on that ground ball. Had 30 stolen bases last year with the Mets. There's the defense. We talked about it with Christian Yelich, and I really think the Marlins outfield all have potential. We know Yelich has won a gold, all have potential to be Gold Glovers. Prado, Echeverria, Gordon, and Morse around the infield, and Salta Lamacchia behind the plate.
Latos a toss over to first.
I think that's safe to say, don't you, Rich? I think Ozuna has potential to be a Gold Glover, and certainly Giancarlo.
Well, Stanton was a Gold Glove finalist last year. Of course, Yelich broke through and won, and Ozuna had a very good year in center field. Laz Diaz calling balls and strikes. And he says strike one on Jace Peterson, the 25-year-old out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Peterson, a top prospect in the Padres organization. And of course, the Braves and the Padres apparently had each other on speed dial, instant message, direct message on Twitter, because they hooked up not just for one Upton trade, but for a pair of Upton trades.
I think they were on LinkedIn, too.
That's a mess, by the way. Here's the 0-1 coming to Peterson. Young on the way, pitch in the dirt. Salta Lamacchia has no chance. Great jump and a good pitch to run on, and the Braves continue what they did last night, moving runners, going 90 feet at a time.
Well, the bottom line is the mistake is walking Eric Young Jr., the 250 career hitter. You want to make him earn his way on, but once he gets on, he's not going to waste much time.
One. Breaking ball, a strike. Peterson really tore up both Double-A and Triple-A last year with San Diego. On base, a 402, 447 slugging, and a 307 average. Completed An impressive slash line, 24 doubles, 16 stolen bases.
Because he's a left-handed hitter, he'll probably try to pull a ball, but we saw Peterson drop down a nice sacrifice bunt last night that moved Eric Young over to third.
Braves love the fact that he was a college football player and that he brings that football mentality to the diamond. 2-2. And he pulls it right by Terry Pendleton. There's TP. He's been part of the Atlanta Braves staff for 14 years, and of course a great Brave, great major leaguer, great Cardinal himself. Terrific speed at second. That's Eric Young Jr. And Peterson gets into one to left. Yelich is back in there, makes the catch, and he'll hold Young at second. Good swing and good contact. Now Nick Markakis, who drove in both runs in a 2-1 win last night, is up.
Yeah, Terry Pendleton, a Marlin for a couple of years, 95 and 96. Good job. We saw last year Christian Yelich take really good routes. And talking about Gold Glove outfielders, Nick Markakis won a couple. But Yelich last year, you know, you look at the overall product. You don't just look, does he have a strong throwing arm? Good routes, good jumps. Christian Yelich did it all last year.
Markakis ripped a single to center in the first last night. And then he drove Young in with a ground ball out. That in the sixth inning. Count 0-2, Latos ahead. Last night there was a rain delay of 18 minutes, but the time of game was pretty crisp. 2 hours and 36 minutes for Freddie Gonzalez's Atlanta Braves. Roof was open earlier. There was rain in the area and it quickly shut. Did you know the Marlins roof has his own Twitter account?
I did not know that.
Yes. He'll tell you whether he's going to be closed or open, or both, as was the case last night. Markakis shoots it foul and out of play. Hot, sunny in the afternoon, and then all of a sudden, some raindrops.
You know, you and I were talking before the game, and we've both been involved in games in other domes. Myself at then Sky Dome, it's Rogers Center now in Toronto, and I remember when it started to rain in the middle of a game and took them a while to close it. Rain was coming down right at home plate.
Latos is 0-2. Jam shot, and it rolls into left field, and with Young on the move, he's going to score. Nick Markakis having quite a series and a nice start to his Braves run.
Well, so far the formula for the Braves is get Young on, he'll steal, get him to scoring position, and Markakis will drive him in. He didn't hit this ball hard at all. It got in on him, but a good jump, even though the ball was in front of him to the left side, a good jump to allow Eric Young to score. He read that base hit very well.
Freddie Freeman now. Freeman, who played every game last year, was in the 3 spot for all of those games. But with Markakis' arrival, the exit of Gaddis, Justin Upton, Jason Hayward, Freeman finds himself in the cleanup spot.
Well, so far that is the formula. Markakis has driven in all 3 Braves runs this year.
And Freeman drills one. Left center field and deep. Yelich at the wall, not going to get it. Off the wall it goes. Around third, here comes Markakis. Throw from Echeverria is cut, and the Braves have a 2-0 lead. Freddie Freeman who for whatever reason, after a hot start, did not hit well against Miami last year, pounds one to the wall. Freeman's second hit of the series.
Well, we told you yesterday a 135 average against the Marlins last year, but you know that's going to turn around for a quality hitter like Freddie Freeman. And this is him to perfection. He drives the ball really well the opposite field, and in this case just got it over the head of Christian Yelich.
Freeman in his career is now 10 for 16 against Latos. And the Braves are up 2-0 with a pair of hits, a walk, and a stolen base in the first. And here is Bethancourt.
Well, if you are wondering, Matt Latos in his career has had 8 starts against the Braves. He's 3-3. Pretty good ERA, 3.28.
Bethancourt, young catcher. There's Chuck Hernandez, Miami's pitching coach. Latos misses in, and you can see the look of concern from Hernandez and from Mike Redmond. For Miami, one of the things that the Marlins have coming out of spring training, they have a pair of starters in their bullpen. David Phelps had an outstanding spring, made the club. And Brad Hand also pitched well in the spring, and for both those guys, they could have easily made other clubs starting rotations. That one knocked into right center field. That's trouble. It'll roll to the wall. Freeman will score. Bethancourt to second, and he'll stop there. And the Braves are teeing off on Matt Latos here in the first.
Well, it all goes back to what you were talking about in the ball game last night, Rich. You look at a team like the Braves and all the moves we've documented, the moves that they've made, but they're still going to come at you with some quality starting pitching, and if your pitching doesn't hold up, they're going to put some runs up, and we've seen it here in the first inning.
Bethancourt, known for his catching acumen more so than his bat, slotted in the 5 spot, and he comes through with an RBI double, his first hit of the year. And here's Johnson, who was 0 for 3 last night. So if this pounding continues, I wouldn't be surprised to see Brad Hand, probably Hand, because
I would
of
say
all the
Hand with all the left-handers they
bats.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Phelps did throw at the end of last night as if just to get some work in. There's a look at the pair, and they're on alert right now. And Latos bounces one in the dirt. So this certainly is not going as scripted for the 27-year-old out of Coconut Creek.
Well, and coming back to where he grew up, you mentioned Coconut Creek High School. He didn't start because of those injuries, the knee injury. He didn't start a game last year until June 14th.
There's one out, and Miami's infield is in. Johnson takes a strike. That's 1-2. Matt Latos is struggling here tonight in Miami. 3 runs right out of the gate for the Atlanta Braves. Christian Bethancourt is at third base, the 1-2. Tapper foul. Mike Redmond is up and pacing. One-two pitch.
Right now he's having trouble with that slider. When he's able to get that slider close to the strike zone and tantalize especially left-handed hitters to chase it, it's a good pitch for him, but he's missed badly with it. Did a wild pitch with it, missed on that one.
Two. Misses again with the off-speed pitch, and it's full out, 3-2.
Right now, it's a labor out there for Matt Latos.
He's already thrown 28 pitches. 3-2 to Kelly Johnson. And it's in. He lost it. Johnson trots to first. And here is Chris Johnson, who has had great success against Latos in his career. 8 for 20. And here comes Chuck Hernandez.
Just as I was thinking about it, I was wondering when he'd get a visit either from Saltalamacchia or Chuck Hernandez. And here comes Chuck to talk to the big right-hander, just try to get him through this inning. Talking to Chuck a little bit before the game, and you know, with the persona of Latos, he's got all the tattoos and he's pretty outgoing. But Chuck said, don't let that fool you. He said he's smart out there on the mound. He has pitching smarts, he has baseball smarts. Right now, he just doesn't have the command.
Well, right now, he's got a visit from his pitching coach and activity in his bullpen. Brad Hand is up, as expected. The inning opened with a walk to Eric Young Jr., who easily stole second. Jace Peterson lined one to left, and that was, I guess, the sign of coming attractions. Markakis dumped one into left, and then rockets into the left center gap from Freeman, right center gap from Bethancourt, were both RBI doubles. Johnson has walked at the corners, and Chris Johnson hammers one to left. That is deep. Yelich is back. It's off the base of the wall. Scoring easily is Bethancourt. Johnson around third, headed to the plate. Now he stops and dives back to third base. Matt Latos isn't fooling anybody.
Chris Johnson's a smart hitter. He knows he's been laboring with the slider. So what's he do? He goes up, sits on fastball, gets fastball, and drives it hard. 2 balls have been hit over the head of Christian Yelich a long way.
Infield in again. Andrelton Simmons now. Hand continues to loosen up. Simmons swung, and there's something that was of much discussion in baseball last night, and that is a check swing. Torrey Hunter, of course, had issues with Joe West. Simmons there didn't really appear to swing, but it was called by Laz Diaz. He did not appeal to first base. And Simmons, upset, is behind in the count 0-1. And the discussion, and I kind of agree with it, in a case like that, why not appeal to the first base umpire?
And that's what frustrates catchers, hitters, first baseman if you're looking at that play. Just ask. Just ask.
Oh, 2. Breaking ball. He does swing and fouls it back.
Some of the things you try to look at to assess Matt Latos, his fastball has been 90-91. That's okay. He's just had trouble with the command of his slider.
0-2, fouls it back.
Good fastball, 91 there, but Andrelton Simmons had a rip.
Alex Wood is on deck. There's 1 out. What has been a lengthy first inning for Matt Latos. Pitch number 35 is coming. Brad Hand is ready in the bullpen. And the 0-2. Simmons into center field. That's a base hit. That'll score Johnson. Kelly. That'll score Johnson. Chris. And the Braves have jumped all over Matt Latos. It's a 6-0 lead.
Well, again, fastball right up the middle. Simmons, we talked about it, a very aggressive hitter. He's not going to let that pitch go by. And I think if it was any other hitter except the pitcher, Latos would be out of the game. But Alex Wood just 3 for 62 in his career.
Wood squares, drops it down. Morse on to first, gets the out. And it's the second out. Top of the order, Eric Young Jr. Well, last night a well-pitched game from Julio Teheran of the Braves and from Henderson Alvarez of Miami. Both bullpens were sharp. It was a 2-1 ball game. A long way from it here in the top of the first. Matt Latos has given up 5 hits. 4 of those hits have driven in runs. You got to tip your cap to Andrelton Simmons, who after that check swing call fell behind 0-2, fought off some pitches, and then got one he liked and drilled it to center. Young into center field, base hit. Ozuna's got it, round third. Here comes Simmons, and he'll score. And I don't know that Miami can go any further.
Mike Redmond has to make a move now. He just has to make a move.
Crowd reacting as Redmond comes on, and Brad Hand will enter the ball game. So the homecoming not so sweet for Matt Latos. And the Braves chase him with 7 runs and 6 hits in the first. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. To put game 1 behind him. The Marlins have yet to swing the bats, and they find themselves down 7-0 here in the first against the Braves. Brad Hand takes over, and this will be just like a start as Hand comes in the first.
Shortest outing of Matt Latos' career. The 2/3 of an inning he worked here tonight. But Brad Hand trying to make his debut here out of Chaska, Minnesota. We've talked a lot about Brad, seen him over the last couple of years. And the one area that he improved on a little bit this spring that has given Brad Hand trouble has been bases on balls.
He's got to keep Eric Young Jr. close at first. He throws a strike.
But the bottom line, Brad Hand has major league stuff. And when he moves it around the plate, he could be successful.
I don't think with a 7-run lead, the Braves have turned the running game off.
Not in the first inning.
No. Not in the second or the third or the fourth. Peterson earlier in the inning hit a liner to left. We'll be breaking out the tweets and the emails here shortly. Normally on an email and Twitter Tuesday we kind of ease into it in the bottom of the first. We were not prepared for a 30-minute top of the first. Oh! 2-2.
This would be an opportunity for Brad Hand to stretch things out. Brad last year 32 games, 16 of those as a starter.
Marlins thick with starting pitching, and that's not even counting Jose Fernandez coming back with the acquisition of Latos and Heron. David Phelps arriving from the Yankees. 2-2. Pitches in, and Hand out of options, which means for the Marlins, had they tried to send him down, that would have exposed him to waivers, and 29 other teams could have picked him up. And with the type of stuff that he has and the type of spring that he had,
and the fact that he's still just 25 years old,
someone certainly would have picked him up. Runner goes, Hand misses, and a long inning continues with a walk to Chase Peterson, and here comes a hot Nick Markakis.
Well, again, you certainly would rather go after the rookie and Peterson as opposed to having to go after Markakis with Freeman on deck.
Big swing by Markakis. Neck surgery, neck fusion surgery back in mid-December. Guy has a career on base percentage just under .360. Sprays out towards short. Echeverria on to first, and a long first inning comes to an end. 7 runs, 6 hits. The Braves knock Matt Latos out in the first. To our men and women stationed around the globe, thanks for all that you do, and welcome to Miami. Welcome to the National League East. JM Lexus, brings you the Marlins lineup. D. Gordon leads it off. Christian Yelich in the 2 spot. Giancarlo Stanton is in right field. Michael Morse gets cleanup. Martin Prado a couple of hits, and he's always hit well against his old club, the Braves. Marcelo Zuna's in center. Jared Saltalamacchia hits 7th. Danny Echeverria in the 8 spot. Brad Hand didn't expect to be hitting 9th when this night started. The Marlins not only are down 7-0, but they're up against a really good young pitcher in Alex Wood, the 24-year-old out of the University of Georgia, grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he starts with strike 1 to D. Gordon.
And it'll certainly be a battle for the 2 left-handed hitters, Gordon and Yelich.
See the corners bunched in. Gordon last night with a perfect bunt, but things went awry once he got out of the box, and he spun his wheels and face planted about 20 feet up the line.
Yeah, it was funny talking to Brett Butler, who's worked with D. Gordon, who was a tremendous bunter in his career, 245 bunt hits. Brett Butler said he'd never seen that. Christian Yelich said he saw a guy do it in the minor leagues.
Little looper in the left, and that's a start for Miami.
Well, that's a good battle, a good way to fight off a fastball from a tough left-hander. Yelich said the guy in the minor leagues, when he face planted on the foul line, when he got up, the foul line was all down the front of his uniform. Stay inside, got jammed a little bit, but dropped it nicely into left field.
Now Yelich, who takes a strike. Now facing a lefty is not so daunting for Christian Yelich, who actually hit better against lefties last year, a .317 average. Hit .284 on the season.
And Rich was 8 for 19 with a triple against Alex Wood.
Yelich takes outside. It's a ball and a strike. I guess we can start our social media night this way as Stanton sits on deck. Since the Braves not only hit around, but had 3 guys have 2 at-bats in the inning. Yelich fouls it back. This is from Dave. Tommy, have you ever made 2 outs in 1 inning?
If I did, I don't recall, but there's probably a good chance I did. Those things you try to forget.
Yelich takes away. Wood faced Miami a lot last year. 5 starts. Was 2-2, an ERA of just over 3. You look at this youngster's career numbers in the big leagues. An ERA of 2.89, 35 starts, 31 relief appearances. 2-2. Yelich into right field. That's a base hit. And so Gordon and Yelich, the 2 lefties, have opened with hits against Wood. And here comes Stanton.
That's a good sign with the lefties having swings the way they have against Alex Wood. Take a look at the defense tonight. We've seen that defense for the Marlins with Yelich and Stanton.
It's the equivalent of missing the cutoff man.
Well, when it's a 7-0 score early on, sometimes you deal with some glitches like that.
Got to do the little things. And so here is Giancarlo Stanton. Good speed out there. Stanton against the lefty. 16 at bats. Just a couple of hits. One of those a home run. And a base hit last night. Struck out twice. Miami in a 7-0 hole in the first inning.
You know what makes you feel good as a team? You can easily say, well, you're down 7-0 is a long way to go. But if you can put up 2 or 3 in the first inning, all of a sudden that makes a big difference.
Ball and a strike. You've got Morse on deck. Prado after that. Freddie Gonzalez last night not only got a great start from Julio Teheran, but an outstanding trio of relievers who were perfect. Luis Avila, Jim Johnson, and Jason Grilli. That 24 hours after the Braves traded the premier closer in the game to the Padres, Craig Kimbrell. Wood misses away. It's 2-1. Freddie very realistic today in his office about the Braves. And so, yeah, you'd hate to see a guy like Kimbrell go, but Grilli has experience. Johnson has experience.
I think we saw that last night, the way those two veterans pitched.
And for all those saying, well, the Braves' future is bright, all the first-round draft picks that are coming up, the minor league system, which has now been rebuilt, the Braves' present isn't all that bad right now. They won last night. They're up 7-0 here. And Stanton is sitting on a 3-1 pitch. And Wood misses. Bags are loaded. Here comes Michael Morse.
That's amazing. I know there's somewhat of a struggle for a guy, even though he has an unusual delivery. He repeats it very well, but it's amazing how even with the score 7-0, he looked like he didn't want to throw Giancarlo a strike.
Well, sometimes that's the toughest time to throw a strike, not only to Stanton, but to anybody else. When you've got that big lead, it's the 3-foot putt, it's the free throw to win a game, it's facing the pitcher and having trouble throwing strikes to the pitcher. Now, Stanton obviously a little different, but here the bags are loaded. Wood with a 7-0 lead to start the inning, and he's got Morse up. Drops in a strike.
Talked about that free throw. Of course, our congratulations to Duke and Coach Krzyzewski.
Morse with a big swing and a miss. 91 miles an hour from Wood.
Of course, remember the ball game last night. The Marlins had bases loaded with nobody out. That in the 7th inning, and were unable to produce a run.
Oh, 2 fouled. Another tweet from G. Why did the Marlins wait until the Braves had 7 runs to call in a new pitcher?
You know, it's the second game of the season. You have your starter out there, a guy you hope gives you 30 starts this year. You have to hope, and a guy who's pitched a little bit in the big leagues, you have to hope a guy like Matt Latos is able to put things together.
A swing and a miss. Wood runs that one away from Morse. And a big strikeout from the lefty out of Charlotte, Alex Wood.
We've talked about Alex Wood and his delivery. Part of it that makes him so tough is that he's hard to pick up. He hides the ball. Was reading a note on Wood when he was drafted, that the scout had drafted, and just wanted to make sure the Braves, the organization in the minor leagues, when he got to the big leagues, don't mess with that windup. Let him continue to do it that way. He's already had Tommy John surgery. He had that as a freshman at Georgia in 2009.
He made just 24 starts in the minor leagues, so they didn't change him, and he got to the big leagues in a real hurry. And as we described, when he arrived in the big leagues, he acted like he belonged there. He's pitched very well for the Braves. Jeff has an email. Do you think the delay of the long first inning may have affected Wood?
possibly. But he was allowed plenty of warm-up tosses when he went out there, but that's a possibility.
Bags loaded, 1 out. Prado 2 hits last night. Oh! Fastball for a strike. For whatever reason, Prado has hurt the Braves since he left them. He hurt the Marlins certainly as a Brave. But he's at 354 when facing Atlanta. He had a season filled with game-winning hits against Miami a few years back when fouled back and out of play. It's 1-2. Say what you want about Atlanta and all the trades, but their starting rotation, especially their top 3, are pretty darn good.
Well, their 4 and 5 starters are a couple of veterans. Left-hander Eric Stultz, Trevor Cahill, who was just acquired, a right-hander. So you got a couple of guys who pitched a little bit who have had some success.
The 1 through 3s aren't just really good, they're very young as well. Pitches in. Wood is 24. Shelby Miller, acquired in the Jason Hayward, Jordan Waldman trade from the Cardinals, goes tomorrow. He's 24. And Tehran last night just 21. Two. Ground ball. Johnson to his left. Out there. Peterson's turn. How about that? Marlins, bags loaded, nobody out, and they don't get a run.
Por Kendall Toyota.
In Miami, the Marlins right now are on their heels. A loss last night, 2-1 to the Braves. Look at this. Atlanta 7-0 in the second. In what is certainly a much anticipated 2015 season for the Marlins. It has been a rugged ride for 10 innings.
You know, the amazing thing, the longer you play, amazing things are established. And in the Marlins' history, it's the first time that they've allowed 7 runs in the top of the first inning.
They've allowed more than 7 runs before, right? I mean, the Boston...
At least 7 runs in the top of a first inning.
Huh.
At home, probably, because they had that big game.
Yeah,
Fenway Park.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Carl Pavano about that game. He may not want to talk about it.
Counts 0-2 to Freddie Freeman. And Freeman takes down low. Now Freeman was part of the hit parade in the first. His RBI double was to left center. Bethancourt had an RBI double. Of course, Markakis started it with an RBI single. Chris Johnson nearly hit one out for an RBI double. Andrelton Simmons had an RBI single. And in his second at bat, Eric Young Jr. an RBI single.
I have a tweet from Floris. I'm not going to try the last name, but he's watching us tonight in the Netherlands. Here on Email Twitter Tuesday. However, it's Wednesday in the Netherlands.
The 2-2. Marlins former starter Rick Vandenhert had a curveball dubbed the Holland Hammer. I think Jim Cott may have had something to do with that. Vandenhert from the Netherlands. Freeman, Bethancourt, Kelly Johnson. 2-2 from Hand. And he goes up with a fastball and strikes out Freeman. This would be game 2 of the series. Game 3 concludes the series tomorrow at 7:10. First Kids Eat Free Wednesday of the season. Kids 12 and under with a ticket get a coupon for a free KM Beef Frank, bag of Frito-Lay chips, small Pepsi, or Aquafina water. Get your tickets at marlins.com. Susan has a tweet on a Twitter Tuesday. I love you guys. Don't interview Latos after the game. And 3, put a Waffle House at Marlins Park. In reference to the Waffle House at Turner Field. Braves had a great run when they opened the Waffle House at Turner Field. Big win streak. And a lot of the players were wearing Waffle House shirts and caps in the clubhouse.
I also read, I believe it's in Houston, where they have a new food item in their concessions, and I think it's a waffle cone filled with fried chicken.
Well, Gladys Knight would like that. It would be chicken and waffles. Braves were 14-0.
Yeah, just go to Burger 305 though. You'll be all right.
There's the 1-2. Little tapper from Bethancourt. It's wide of third. Bethancourt, the catcher of the future. Brian McCann long gone. Evan Gattis, one of the most surprising of the moves of the offseason, sent to Houston. One-two pitch. It's down low. Brad Hand on the mound. If you've just joined us and you're looking for Matt Latos, he could not get through the first 2/3 of an inning. 6 hits, 7 runs. He walked a pair. And the Braves piled on and are off to a 7-0 start. To add to that misery, the Marlins had the bases loaded and nobody out. Last night they had that and were unable to score in the 7th inning in a 2-1 loss. Well, tonight, down 7-0, the Fish again unable to get a run across.
Yeah, and as frustrating it is, even more so because down 7-0, a situation like that could have put up a few runs. It could have jump-started things. And early as it is, you never know what can happen. But the folks up in Chaska, Minnesota are scrambling to get the TVs on.
And an outstanding hockey player as well up in Chaska.
Yeah, and here's a look at the repertoire of Brad Hand. You see the 2-seam fastball and the 4-seam with the seams across the seams. The curveball, he uses a little pressure with that middle finger, and then the changeup, a circle changeup. Very good changeup when it's working for him.
Another roller wide of third. That curveball from Hand when the Marlins drafted him all the scouting reports raved about that curveball. It's a second-round pick back in 2008.
Well, I think it's time for Brad Hand, and if he gets the opportunity to start some games, it's time. It's a make or break time for him. He's 25. He has major league stuff. His fastball 93, 94 miles an hour.
Bethencourt putting up a good battle.
He's had some tough luck. Remember when he first came up, he pitched well and had no decisions or lost really close games.
Braves bobbleheads in the Bobblehead Museum. Saw Bobby Cox there. Jason Hayward, who had a nice debut for the Cardinals. Chipper. Don't know if we'll be getting any tweets from Chipper tonight on email and Twitter Tuesday. Pitch down low. The count's 3-2.
Brad Hand made his major league debut back in 2011 in June against this Atlanta Braves team. A 1-0 loss. Gave up just one hit in 6 innings. It was a solo home run by Alex Gonzalez, who we saw here last night.
Last night's ball game at 2 hours and 36 minutes. And across Major League Baseball, the average time of game last night was 2 hours and 49 minutes compared to opening day 2014, which was 3 hours and 4 minutes. Much of that could be accounted by you had the aces going. You had some great pitching performances, including here in Miami. Diving stop, Prado, and he got him. We did not have a review last night, and I'm sure the Braves are taking a look at this one. And a bang-bang play, Morse with some help. An outstanding play by Martin Prado.
You cannot extend any further than Prado did. Somehow he was able to come up with it and then get a good grip on the ball to make a strong throw over to first base. Bethencourt was robbed. Prado made a great play.
Of course, the change this year, managers don't have to take the walk of shame, so to speak, and stroll out casually waiting for the replay guy down in the clubhouse to look at that play and signal to the bench whether it should be challenged or not. Now the manager can stay on the rail. He can still go out if he wants, but just about every manager I heard, including Mike Redmond, and I think I heard Freddie Gonzalez say the same, that they'll stay right at that top step, get word, and just go from there.
That's because they just didn't like the way they had to go out there last year. They kind of dance around with the umpires.
I mean, I think the intent was good, but I think when the season started, after a week, it was rather embarrassing at times. Because a lot of times you're out there making casual conversation and there's no replay, and you just kind of chat with the umpire and jog back in.
Well, the good side, the bright side, was that the managers were able to get a little more personal up close with the umpires.
I think it improved manager to umpire relations. The 2-2. Breaking ball is in. What was the stat we heard, though, that there were actually more ejections last year than 2013?
That totally surprised me.
And most of those came around home plate. As one umpire told us, players have to let off steam somehow, and apparently they did it mostly around home plate.
You're talking about those time of games for opening day. If you count the Sunday night opener, that game in Chicago, there were 6 shutouts thrown on opening day, which is a major league record. Never been that many thrown.
Alvarez went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs, and lost 2-1 to Atlanta last night. Kelly Johnson in the air, Prado and Saltalamacchia. Saltalamacchia, and probably a ball that if Prado were to do it again, he would take. That's a really tough play for a catcher that far from home plate.
You want Martin Prado, you would expect Martin Prado to take charge there. It didn't look like he did, and just a difficult play for any catcher, but a ball that needs to be caught by somebody, and I think in this case Prado has to be the one.
Smack to center. Ozuna is there, and he makes the catch. Things not going well for Miami tonight. The Braves on top 7-0. In the Bronx playoff rematch, Royals battle Mike Trout, the Angels. Coverage begins Saturday, 12:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. In Miami, 7-0 Atlanta. Marcell Ozuna, Jared Saltalamacchia, Adeiny Echeverria, and Alex Wood rips in a strike to Ozuna, who had 2 hits last night.
Rich, I wanted to get one more comment in on the play that dropped foul out of the reach of Saltalamacchia and Prado. Talking about Prado maybe making the play, tough play for a catcher. Kelly Johnson was the hitter. Prado was way off the line. So he had a long way to go to get to where he was, and I think he was hoping that Salty could make that play. But knowing him, it'll be something they talk about. Either they already have or they will after the game.
Which opens the door for social media night and defensive shifts.
Yeah, Fran has a really good question about defensive shifts. When a shift is on, is the scoring still the same? 6 for shortstop, 4 for second base? Fran said, been waiting since last year to ask that question. I do use the same. If the shortstop's way over, I'll still put 6-3 if it's an out at first, but I'll make a note to myself where he was playing.
I'll tell you one thing that does change with defensive shifts, and I learned this off season with the conversations with guys like Ben Jetlovic and Mark Simon. There's a liner in the center field, a base hit for Ozuna. All the defensive metrics that measure range and plays by defenders in different quadrants by going to the left or the right. Whenever an infield goes into an extreme shift, there is no mapping of that. They do not record any defensive metrics in terms of range and distance gone to make a play when everyone's shifted, because it's a static chart of quadrants that is charted. So the guys that watch the games and chart the defensive stats, and a lot of them are former college players, people that have been involved in baseball, have a diamond with a bunch of quadrants and squares. So Andrelton Simmons is certainly the best shortstop in baseball. I don't think there's any argument about that. Simmons covers a ton of ground. So if he goes a couple quadrants to his right, he gets credit for that. But if he's shifted way over behind second, and goes 20 feet to his left. He doesn't get credit for that. There's the 1-1. Saltalamacchia lines it foul. Saltalamacchia in a pivotal at bat last night bounced into that double play. Jose wants to know, what can Saltalamacchia do to have a little more success with runners in scoring position? Last night was obviously one of those spots. He struggled with that. Andrew has that same question. He struggled with that last year. Do you have any magic potions, Tommy Hutton?
Boy, I'd make a lot of money if I did. So much is the thought process. So much is getting yourself in hitters' counts. So much is changing your approach at times, which in this day and age, a lot of guys don't do.
Alex Wood has that funky delivery, but terrific stuff. We've seen it tonight. Saltalamacchia swings and misses, and a fastball, Tommy, that even though it's at 90-91, runs away from the right-handed hitters.
Yeah, it has movement. It's hard to pick up. He had a little tightness in the spring, but everything seems to be fine. He'll throw any of those pitches anytime. Pretty good pickoff move. There's that funk.
Echeverria back to Wood, and Miami bounces into a double play. And a rough night continues for the Marlins. The Braves have jumped Miami and lead it 7-0.
It's 7-0. Just a reminder, it is email and Twitter Tuesday. We will be taking all of your tweets at the handle @FoxMarlins. And how about this? We got this one from Jasmine, a special opening day treat. Jasmine was able to take a picture with new second baseman D. Gordon. How about that, Jasmine? Very cool. Keep sending those tweets to @FoxMarlins. Remember to use that hashtag Twitter Tuesday. You can also email us at foxmarlins@gmail.com. Rich, Tommy, up to you.
All right, Jessica, thanks. Chris Johnson up right now. Dan Jennings, Marlins Vice President of Baseball Operations and General Manager, will be joining us. If you have questions for Dan Jennings, line them up. You can reach us by email and through Twitter. Johnson probably hit the best shot of that first inning. A double halfway up the wall, and Hand gets him to go after an off-speed pitch and strikes him out.
And so far, Brad Hand has settled in. Remember, he walked the first batter he faced, but he has retired 5 in a row now. So good for Brad Hand.
There's how to get a hold of us on Twitter or email us the old-fashioned way, foxmarlins@gmail.com.
I got one for you, Rich. Clem wants to know, and we see these guys work all the time, what Marlins player has the best work ethic? I'm watching the game all the way in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
We've had emails and tweets from Venezuela, from the Netherlands, from Kalamazoo.
I would give you 2 guys off the top of my head with tremendous work ethic: Giancarlo Stanton and Ichiro.
Well, going into camp, there were numerous Marlin coaches and even manager Mike Redmond that said that Stanton, hands down, is the hardest worker the Marlins have. If you saw any of his off-season work regimen, the hill in Southern California, that beach hill of sand that he ran up and down and up and down. But Ichiro is on quite honestly a different planet when it comes to work ethic. At 41, Ichiro arrives, and I saw this in Seattle in 2001. Ichiro arrives with his own gym equipment. He's got about 6 machines that he's used ever since he was in Japan that deal with strength and flexibility. They are custom made just for him. And he's gotten a few of his teammates to use them as well. But Ichiro's work ethic is incredible. That is Ichiro's trailer in spring training. Sort of a torture chamber full of his equipment, which arrived all boxed up. There's a look at one of the machines.
You certainly have to have proper credentials, too, to go in that trailer.
That's going to be a tough play, and it's not going to be made. Andrelton Simmons hustles out an infield hit. Here's Stanton and the sand dune, the hill.
Nice job. Hey, baby. Long. Go long. Go long. Come on. Get up there. Get up there. Get up there. Go long. Go long. Yes.
A weighted vest as well.
Wow. That's how you get your legs in shape right there. Yeah. Rich and I will be doing that on the road trip.
Alex Wood sets down a bunt. Hand gathers it in.
You know, when we go to Southern California, we'll ask Giancarlo where the mound is, the sand mound. We'll go down there and get a little workout.
That's after you visit In-N-Out Burger. Second sacrifice bunt by Alex Wood. 7-0 Atlanta, top of the order. Eric Young Jr. has walked, stolen a base, scored a run, and has an RBI single. And it all happened in the first inning. A missive from San Diego. Moved to San Diego last summer, watching on MLB.TV. I know it's only the second game, but as a Marlin fan, please tell me it's going to be okay.
It's always tough to. You want to get off to a great start, but you have to try to put things in perspective. Mike Redmond and his staff, they certainly will. You just want to see good play. And just to see Martin Prado make that extended grab with the score the way it is, just shows you the kind of player he is. Can't do anything about it. Shortest outing of his career for Matt Latos. And if you're any of the other 8 guys, you can't do anything about that, but play hard for the remainder of the game.
One coming to Eric Young Jr. Real opportunity for Eric Young Jr. Last year we saw him as a Met. He had an injury-filled year, a hamstring injury for a guy like Eric Young Jr. certainly can derail a season. Of course, he had that awful collision, so to speak, when he stepped on Tim Hudson's ankle a couple years ago in Atlanta. Echeverria running play, throws out Eric Young Jr. Brad Hand, a couple of scoreless innings. Miami's down a bunch, 7-0.
Market is called Tap Snap. You can come here, get a picture taken instantaneously, and they'll print it out for you, and there's no charge. But as you can see, what makes it fun is if you do it with your friends, you get a nice shot and kind of something to remember the moment. Now, I'm kind of just by myself here, so, Miss, would you mind taking a, could you take a picture with me?
Sure.
All right, isn't that nice of you? What's your name?
Lady.
Lady! That's your name?
Lady.
All right, Lady. I could say that right. Lady's going to take a picture. Here we go. Look at that camera over there, right? All right. And instantaneously, now look at this. Is the picture there? Oh, wait a minute. Get out of the shot. There we go. And the shot is ready. And then immediately, thank you, Lady, it comes, look at that shot, and it comes out right here, what, moments later. Is that right?
8 seconds later. Coming right out.
8 seconds later. Hard to believe. Is it ready? So, well, yes, sir, Rich.
It's hard to believe that was just happenstance. You had 3 innings to set up.
Well, yeah, maybe not. Now look at that.
Lady was available to take a picture.
Lady, here you go.
Now, would you sign that for her, Craig?
Well, Lady, would you like this picture? Would that mean anything to you?
I like it. I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
To Lady. How do you spell that?
It's getting worse.
Leidy.
Leidy. Go Fish. How about that? All right.
Don't write your
There you
phone
go.
number, all right?
I like it.
You're from Colombia?
Colombia.
Colombia.
Manizales, Colombia.
All right. And now a big Marlins fan, too.
Yes.
All right, it's that simple. Look at the crowd already. And Lady will take a picture with you if you ask nicely. Thank you, Lady.
Thank you.
Oh, I got a kiss, too, guys. Back to you.
Shameless. Actually pretty ingenious there as Brad Hand swings and misses. D. Gordon is up. Alex Wood is dealing right now. Miami's in a 7-0 hole after losing on opening day yesterday. Alex Wood staked to a 7-0 lead. Miami has had base runners. In the first, they had the bags loaded with nobody out. Bounced into a double play to end the inning. Another double play to end the second. Gordon, who singled in the first, takes a strike. And it's 0-2. He may have set that up, but Craig executed flawlessly. Wouldn't you say?
I would say that, yes.
Down to the signing of the photo. Pair of outs here in the third. The Rays and the Marlins get ready for a weekend series, and it starts with a Fireworks Friday, which is Zombie Night. April 10th, Zombie Night, Marlins and Rays. Dress up, purchase the Zombie Night package, $25 at marlins.com/special events. Game ticket, Zombie Night t-shirt, meet T-Dog from Walking Dead. Tommy, I know a lot of people enjoy Walking Dead. And a fireworks show after the game.
I think I'll get my picture taken with T-Dog.
I would think a lot of Braves fans are Walking Dead fans. That is filmed in Georgia. Stanton on deck, Yelich at the plate. So Zombie Night is Friday. Though some might think tonight would qualify the way the Marlins have come out and fallen behind 7-0 to the Braves. Yelich talked about his success against lefties.
You know, this matchup has always been a tough one for the Marlins. The Marlins versus Braves. I give you some unbelievable numbers when we come back.
1-2-3 for Alex Wood in the third. Brad Hand, who took over from Matt Latos, has kept Atlanta off the scoreboard, but the Braves got there 7 times against Latos, shortest start of Latos' career. And for a crowd here in Miami anticipating some revenge after last night, they saw Latos get knocked out in the first inning. And the Braves send Jace Peterson to the plate. Nick Markakis, Freddie Freeman to follow against Hand. It's the fourth. And a bouncer to the right side. Gordon approaches. Morse is there in time to get the out. All right. Sometimes we can't really time things appropriately. It's 7-0. But bravely, Dan Jennings comes to the booth, the Vice President of Baseball Operations, General Manager. What did you see from Latos in the first inning that the Marlins didn't see at the end of spring when he was sharp?
He got bit by the real estate bug tonight. Location, location, location. A lot of fastballs, thigh high. Can't do that at this level. And you know, his breaking stuff was ineffective and just left some pitches in the bad part of the plate, played the price. And we spotted him a touchdown, but if you're going to do that, do it early where you have a chance to chip away. And we come right back, loaded the bases, unfortunately hit into that double play. So we still have 18 outs remaining, and this team's got a lot of character, just like that group last year. So they're not going to quit. It's nice to see Brad Hand jump out. throw up some zeros, and that was part of the reason we decided to go with 2 long men, because unfortunately you're going to have some nights like this where your starter gets knocked out, and hopefully Brad can keep us in this and give us a chance to chip away.
Dan Jennings, in his second year as Vice President of Baseball Operations, he and Michael Hill. You can't really say that the Marlins rebuilt. You just continued to fortify after retooling from the 2012 season. Fastball in on the hands. Nick Markakis fights it off. We talked last night about the Stanton signing, and that really set the dominoes in play. After you secured Stanton, which was the first domino that fell your way?
Well, what we tried to do is we looked at this club. The first order of business was to lengthen that lineup. We felt like we needed to get some guys, professional hitters that could give us a chance to lengthen that lineup. And when you look around, you know, we had a revolving door there at second base, and having a chance to procure D. Gordon, this big ballpark, his speed factor, that was huge. And then you get professional hitters like Martin Prado and what he's done over his career. Certainly Morse with that bat to hit behind Stanton. So, you know, the two things that Mike and I tried to ask ourselves, you know, do they help us now, and do they help us going forward? And the second one was, do they fit what we're trying to do inside that clubhouse? And, you know, these guys all checked those boxes, and it gave us an opportunity to bring in character guys with proven track records. And then when you had an opportunity to go get an Ichiro, I mean, that was a tremendous get for us. He's blended in, fit in well, and he's shown a lot of these young kids truly what it means to be a professional and go about it at 41 years old the way that he's done.
Freddie Freeman for the Braves. Henderson Alvarez, 7 innings last night. Julio Teheran a little bit better in his 6 innings. It was a tight game last night, but this one a blowout from the start. 7 runs in that first inning.
DJ, I think you have to like what you've seen just from the few innings so far that Brad has thrown.
Very good. You know, Tommy, he took a big step last year for us when he got the final half of the season and secured that 5th spot in the rotation. And it gave him an opportunity, knowing that he was going to run out there every 5th day. And you know, this young man got rushed to the big leagues a little bit at an early age, and I think probably you can attest to this as good as anybody. This is a tough league to develop in, and it's great to see. It's great to see him continue to step forward at this level. And you know, we believed in him, and I think he has responded in a very good way, showing the maturity and the ability to locate his stuff, and it's good stuff.
I think the thing that surprises us, you look at his age, he's still just 25.
Yeah, he's a young kid, and then we've had certainly, you know, during the off season, a lot of people liked a lot of our commodities that we had pitching wise, and this was a name that come up, and we're certainly glad to be able to hold on to him and let him work for us and give us good outings like this one.
Brad Hand finishes off the Braves. Marlins have dug themselves a 7-run hole. When we get back, Dan Jennings takes your tweets and emails. It's the bottom of the fourth on our Twitter and email Tuesday. You can find us on Twitter at Fox Marlins. Email us at foxmarlins@gmail.com. Hashtag AskDJ. Dan Jennings is with us, Marlins Vice President of Baseball Operations and General Manager. And we've had a variety of pace of play questions that have come from both email and from Twitter. One has to do with the intentional walk. All the ideas that were thrown around. Ron wants to know, has anyone talked about taking the intentional walk, just letting the hitter go instead of, the ceremony of 4 wide ones?
Certainly makes sense. It really has not been discussed at the GM meetings, and I think that's a part of the game that probably would affect the quality of play. Having the pitcher has to at least make the pitch outs, and we've seen guys miss with that, throw pitches to the backstop. I remember one time in Baltimore, Miguel Cabrera shot a ball to center field. So, I think that would affect play. So I certainly makes sense, but I don't know that that's something because of what it would require if that could be taken out.
These are your timing rules and some of the tweaks in pace of play. And it's a soft launch. There are no balls or strikes being docked this year. I think that's one misnomer out there. And that's among players and fans and some media as well. It's a soft launch, so no one will get fined until May. So right now, umpires are just reminding players, both on the mound, in the box, and between innings, to stay within the time frame and to stay in the box. Now Stanton walks to first. Mike Redman in the dugout. Miami trying to climb out of a 7-0 hold. What was the idea that you liked as far as pace of play that was not implemented yet this year? Anything that is on the horizon that you like?
Well, the one for me personally was the keeping the batter in the batter's box, and I was glad to see that. It is a rule, but it's seldom forced, and I think that what that does is it helps the flow of the game. I know as I've talked to fans, and we sit here, and the ebb and flow of the game is so important. As a pitcher, you love to be able to get the ball and get in a rhythm, and I just think that keeps everyone's interest level peaked at a good point. And watching guys walk around that box and take that 10, 12, 15-second break in between pitches, it gets frustrating because of the flow.
It's a funny one that just came in. Dan Jennings is with us. The 0-2 pitch to Morse is taken up. In the offseason, you traded Dan Jennings. How much confusion was that with Dan Jennings trading Dan Jennings?
Well, I'll tell you, it was I called DJ after the trade, and we had a good laugh about it. We joked about not receiving each other's mails and packages from different manufacturers.
It's a long fly ball that Eric Young Jr. is going to run down. Stanton tags and alertly takes second base. Morse to the deepest part of the ballpark.
Quick follow-up to that. Did DJ make that White Sox ball club?
Yeah, he did. He did it. He's such a great kid. We had fun with that the whole time that he was here, and he did a good job for us. And we got a starting pitcher back in Andre Rienzo, a guy that we had coveted for a while. So we felt like it was a good baseball trade that helped both organizations, and we certainly wish him the best. And I'm just glad now at spring training all the Dan Jennings boxes come straight upstairs to my office. I didn't have to share them with him.
That was from Michael, that email. Stanton's in scoring position. Now Miami has had the bases loaded with nobody out and failed to score. They had a leadoff single in the second, erased on a double play. And here is Prado with one out and Stanton in scoring position. A few emails and tweets earlier in the night before we dove in, wanting to know if there was residual effect from Stanton and the beaning in September. As a front office exec, you saw it from the very start in September through the offseason, through spring training. Did you see any residual effect?
No, Rich, nothing. It was a gruesome injury, very, very tragic that it had to happen. if you guys remember 2 spring trainings ago in live, when the pitchers faced hitters live in camp, Jose Fernandez hit him in the neck with a fastball, and so we had seen something, where he had got hit up above the shoulders. And then this year, pitchers throwing live BP spring training the first day, he gets hit in the hip from Henderson Alvarez. So I think in his mind it probably helped answer the question right away, but we've seen nothing that would lead you to think that he's on his heels or giving versus any particular pitch or pitcher.
Maybe a fine next year would be in order to anyone that hits him in spring training.
I think we could implement that.
Well, and just to show the respect that the pitchers have, here it is, a 7-0 game. And he hasn't seen a whole lot to hit tonight. He's walked 2 times.
Yeah, that's he's the one guy in our lineup. Opposing managers are going to know where he is, when he's coming up, and you're certainly going to try not to let him beat you. And it's understandable. He's very special with his ability, and it's only going to get better.
Well, that's the importance in getting a Morris and a Prado, guys like that, to hit behind him.
Absolutely. Their track record's proven it. The other thing Michael and I tried to do with our staff is, we wanted to bring guys in that had been tested in the postseason, and these guys have been part of playing in the postseason, and that's big to establish that culture and continue to grow as with our team, our young players. And they've shared a lot of things. You just walk through the clubhouse and you listen to these guys talking, about not panicking and the highs and lows, and not staying off that emotional roller coaster. And those are big lessons for young players to learn. And when you hear them from teammates and your peers that you've seen play and that you respect and have a track record, then it's easy to let that sink in.
Martin Prado with a full count. Giancarlo Stanton is second. Prado softly into center, and Young makes the catch.
DJ, we get a lot of people asking us, Rich and I they ask us about the progress, and I know you're firsthand. You get it right off the press on Jose Fernandez and his coming back from Tommy John surgery.
I have to tell you, Tommy, in my 28 years in baseball, I've never seen a young man attack a rehab the way that he's done his work. And he probably had about a 10-day, woe is me mindset. And after that, the same passion and competitive spirit that he takes out to the mound, he took into this rehab. And it's been great to watch him strengthen his body, do different things to strengthen other parts of his arm. And he's built up now to 50 pitches. And when he reaches that point where he goes out on his rehab assignment, it's going to be fun to watch him come back. And somewhere this summer, we're going to get a nice boost of a guy that's going to bring a great energy. And he means a lot in that clubhouse and dugout on days that he doesn't pitch. And the day he does take the ball, you certainly have an opportunity to win.
You see that record at home at Marlins Park. He's been brilliant in a season and change.
Do you think that first start will be at home?
You know what? That's one of those clocks that I don't truly think it has a bullseye on it. We're going to let him determine based upon where he is and how he feels. And I just know that there's going to be quite a few of us, you two included, that'll be very excited when he walks out to that mound.
Ball and 2 strikes. Marcell Ozuna, who's had a nice start to his season, 2 hits last night. Another base hit in the second. And a swing and a miss. Bethancourt knocks it down and fires him out. Dan Jennings, thanks for the visit, and hang in there.
Thank you, Rich. We will.
All right.
Slow start, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
All right, 7-0. Braves up right now. Marlins moment. This is when the Marlins faced Matt Latos and the Reds in 2012. It's the first win for the Miami Marlins, but we show it certainly because Rosie Red. Oh, Rosie.
Oh, you had something to do with that.
Go, baby, go. Rosie in her best evening wear, celebrating the Marlins' first win as the Miami Marlins.
Well, you saw Hanley Ramirez hit that home run. Hanley with a big day for the Red Sox in their ball game yesterday. A couple of home runs, one of them a grand slam, had 5 RBIs. And not so good of a day for Cole Hamels, who was pitching against those Red Sox. Gave up 4 home runs, Hamels did.
Brad Hand back to work. Christian Bethancourt, 7-0 Atlanta. Prado across the diamond, low throw, and Moore stretches out to get it. And Bethancourt is out number 1. So it's been a rough night for the Fish. The Braves jumped Matt Latos in the first. And I guess right now the play of the night, at least for me, is Rosie Red.
Well, that's right. And you always try to draw positives, and the positive has been Brad Hand. Because as Dan Jennings referred to, as you and I have talked about, it is a long season. So you're going to use many different pitchers. I know Mike Redmond doesn't want to use 13 starters. That's what he had to do last year. But he knows he has a guy like Brad Hand in that bullpen. And Brad making the most of this opportunity.
Well, David Phelps as well pitched well enough in the spring to make a lot of rotations across baseball. And that's another reason why Miami has him in the bullpen. Morse under it, makes the catch. Kelly Johnson is retired.
And there are 2 guys, David Phelps and Brad Hand, who Phelps for the last 2-3 years with the Yankees has done both. He's pitched out of the bullpen. He's pitched as a starter. Brad Hand has done the same thing. So it's nice to have the versatility, one a lefty, one a righty, and guys who have done both. Bullpen work, short relief, middle relief, and also have started games.
Chris Johnson did not start on opening day yesterday. Alberto Callaspo against Henderson Alvarez got the start. And as you pointed out, might be a bit of a platoon there at third, although Johnson blasted one halfway up the wall, 386 feet from home plate for an RBI double in the first. He struck out in the third. It's a bit of a departure for a guy that challenged for a batting title just a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, ended up finishing second to Michael Kadire, but 2 years ago Chris Johnson hit 321. Went to high school Fort Myers. Spent his college years at Stetson up in DeLand.
Well, the Marlins better figure out the Braves, because they'll see them again right after this homestand.
I knew I'd get back to that. I think I mentioned something before DJ came on with us. But last year, the Marlins finally had a little success against Atlanta. They were 10-9. But if you go back to previous 4 seasons, they were 23-50 against the Braves.
Yeah, there were times the only thing you would look forward to at Turner Field was the Chick-fil-A stand below the press box and the tool race, which the Bucket normally won, and we loved his celebratory dance. Echeverria on a hop. Yeah! Wow, what a play. Adeiny Echeverria. Guns out Chris Johnson. Lots of range to his right. And Brad Hand has kept it at 7. Halfway through, 7-0 Atlanta. To his right, and just an outstanding play.
Well, first he's able to maintain balance, get the leap, and turn the body to get a little something on the throw. He knew he wasn't going to throw it all the way in the air, and he got a nice stretch from Michael Morse over at first base, and he did it all in front of Andrelton Simmons, too.
Randi vision cam. Jared Saltalamacchia into left field. And over there to get it and record out number 1 is Kelly Johnson. Saltalamacchia the first out at the bottom of the 5th. Alex Wood not missing a beat right now, shutting out Miami. And here is Echeverria. One of the interesting discussions at the end of last year, and it for me was a homework assignment in the offseason, was to explore why Echeverria does not rate well in a lot of the advanced metrics as far as range. And obviously it's appropriate here.
I think we saw a little of the range on that last play with Johnson.
Appropriate here as you see Solano on deck with Andrelton Simmons and the Braves, who is the king of that. Simmons has won 2 consecutive Gold Gloves and 2 fielding Bibles. Echeverria especially did not rate well, hasn't in his career, going to his right. And it's kind of mystified a lot of people around the Marlins, people that watch Echeverria play on a daily basis, including opponents and opponent managers and coaches. Echeverria was a Gold Glove finalist, which is part advanced numbers and coach manager vote. And one of the things in discussing it, I noted Ben Jedlovic and Mark Simon, guys that are into the defensive metrics, is there really isn't any pre-pitch positioning when the folks that break it down watch the video. It's one of the blind spots, and you can see the pre-pitch positioning here. You've got Simmons to his right. Perry Hill, as an infield instructor, has had Echeverria shaded to his left a lot. The Marlins over the last 3-4 years have had a lot of power arms, and Hill has felt that Echeverria is best served to his left. As I mentioned, as they grade a defender going to his right or his left, it's in quadrants that don't move. And if you're not able to see where a defender starts, it's kind of hard to judge how far he actually went. Now, the good news is that technology is starting to change. We saw that in Los Angeles at the Fox Major League seminars. The technology is online now and available.
We saw some of that great technology, yes, that showed how quickly, especially an outfielder, can get from one point A to point B if he took a good route to get to that ball, and the same could be shown with infielders too.
Well, importantly, what it shows is where the defender is when the pitch comes to the plate, which is not something they've had before in grading defenders. So it'll be interesting to see it once that technology enters the game, where a guy like Echeverria, if the metrics change.
And the bottom line is that an old school guy like me will just say, we got 2 of the best shortstops in the National League here tonight.
Here's the 1-1 to Solano.
And there's no question, Andrelton Simmons a stronger arm than Echeverria.
Conversely, that many feel around here hurts Echeverria. It actually helped Giancarlo Stanton with his defensive numbers last year, because the Marlins had him shifted into right center field. And in right center field, he was able to get to balls that, quote, other right fielders weren't getting to.
Yeah, remember we pointed that out a lot, how we would show where he was giving that line away and playing in right center.
So Stanton was actually helped in his defensive numbers by his pre-pitch positioning, and many feel Echeverria was hurt by his. Solano rips it into right center field. That's a base hit, and it scoots by Markakis and goes to the wall. Echeverria will score. Solano with a pinch hit RBI triple. Miami is finally on the board.
I'll tell you what, the more you see and the more you watch Donovan Solano, the more you appreciate what he's able to do. He has a way of getting hits when he doesn't play all the time, even when he gets called on to start a few games. But after 7 years, 7, 8 years in the minor leagues with the Cardinal organization, he's made a nice little name for himself here in Miami with what he can do. And good hitting there. Nick Markakis will find out. This is a big ballpark. That's a ball, if you're a right fielder, you're not going to catch it and throw anybody out. You need to knock it down. And if he does that, Solano doesn't get the triple. But nicely done by Donovan.
If Miami has any hopes of climbing back into this, this is a run they've got to get. Gordon at the plate. Solano at third. Middle infield is back. Corners are in. Gordon is 1 for 2 tonight. And Wood has missed on his first 2. Alex Wood has thrown 81 pitches. You've got Yelich and Stanton hoping for swings here. On a hop, knocked down. Solano will hustle home and score, and Gordon knocks in the run. And it's 7-2. And so an RBI for D. Gordon. Yelich comes up, and a reminder, first Saturday Spectacular is coming up. The Razor here at 4:10. Puerto Rican Heritage Night at the ballpark. Get the all-you-can-eat seats for just $35. After the game, enjoy a concert on the West Plaza. Marlins baseball Saturday against the Rays, a 4:10 start. Yelich with nobody on. He's 1 for 2 against Wood. That's why that first inning, with the bags loaded and nobody out, is a real killer for the Marlins right now. They get a couple runs out of that inning.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're looking at a 2-3 run game.
Yelich, Young runs it down in the gap. But Miami puts together a small rally, puts 2 runs on the board. Atlanta's lead is 5. That's a nice look. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Well, it is an email and Twitter Tuesday, Rich, and those tweets just continue to come in. This time it comes from Christina. How about this? This is the first time that she has come to Marlins Park as a wife. Her and her husband just got married. They've been coming to games together for years, but now they are here as a married couple. So congratulations to the two of you. And for all of you out there, keep sending those tweets to @FoxMarlins. Remember to use that hashtag Twitter Tuesday. You just might see your tweet in the broadcast. You can also email us at foxmarlins@gmail.com. Rich, back to you.
Thank you, Jessica. Sam Dyson out of Miami's bullpen now. And Dyson, who had a real nice year for the Marlins last year, an ERA in the low 2s. 31 appearances, makes his first appearance in 2015. Andrelton Simmons the pitcher's spot, and it looks like Johnny Gomes will hit for Alex Wood. And then top of the order, Eric Young Jr. It's the 6th. It's 7-2 Atlanta. It was a rough start, certainly for Matt Latos. Shortest of his career, 7 runs on 6 hits. Brad Hand able to restore some order.
Boy, he did a nice job. Brad Hand, 4 1/3 innings. Gave up just the 1 hit, and it was an infield hit to Andrelton Simmons.
Five innings, 4 hits, a couple runs, 3 walks and 4 strikeouts for Wood, who's in line for a win. Simmons on 2 hops. Echeverria across the diamond in time for the first out. And the pride of Petaluma, California, will come up. Fans in Florida remember the nice run that Johnny Gomes had with the Rays. Gomes with the Braves.
Some people have questioned some of the moves the Braves have made. If you're going to unload some of the players that they have, why sign veteran guys, older guys like a Gomes, even some of the guys in the bullpen like a Grilli and a Jim Johnson? Well, you never know where things are going to end up come trading deadline. And you have a veteran right-handed bat, Johnny Gomes. Somebody down the road, if the Braves aren't in it, may want that bat.
Well, in particular, Gomes, A.J. Pierzynski as far as position players. Up the middle, Echeverria to his left. And Gomes is out number 2. So a pair of quick outs. Here comes E.Y. Jr. Marlins Live pregame starts tomorrow. It's presented by your South Florida Honda dealers. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Tom Kohler gets the baseball. I'm sure Brett Butler will be featured on that bunting look, unless it's referring to opening day bunting.
I tell you what, Etch is putting on a nice little show here. He's made the last 3 outs. One a really terrific play. Had to go a little bit to his left on the Gomes ball. And Sam Dyson doing what he has done and what he did last year so nicely in his 42 innings. He gets ground balls. He's got a heavy sinker. Keeps the ball down. 2 strikes, too. We saw the numbers of Dyson last year, just 15 walks in his 42 innings.
He's 2-0 on Eric Young Jr. In particular with Gomes and Pierzynski, both John Hart and Freddie Gonzalez have said this. There are going to be young players, and the bullpen's young. You've got 3 guys who have not made their major league debut for the Braves. You've got Peterson starting at second, Bethancourt behind the plate. Having veteran guys who have postseason history and success to play around the youngsters so important. As well, for a guy like Freeman and Pierzynski and Gomes, they don't want to hear the word rebuild, and they said that numerous times in the spring. It's not about rebuilding. Pierzynski said he's not here just to rebuild and help groom the kids. He's here to win. And the Braves, to their credit, have come out firing. A win last night and a big lead built in this one.
Well, there's no question. Guys like Gomes and Pierzynski have that tough competitiveness about them. And they've shown it in their careers.
3-2. Full count. Eric Young Jr. The Braves scored all of their runs and had 6 of their 7 hits in that first inning. Dyson catches the corner. Laz Diaz rings him up. Young argues. And a 1-2-3-6 for Dyson. Get Checkers Authentic Philly Cheesesteak. Or try the new meatball sub. Pick yours. 2 for $5. By Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. In Miami tonight, Bob the Shark faring better than the hometown 9. 7-2 Atlanta. We talked about a young Braves bullpen. Young, maybe not necessarily in age, but in major league experience. Brandon Kinniff will make his major league debut, and what a path it's been. A former Marlin in the minor leagues for just a year, and then 3 years in independent baseball before the Braves signed him, and here he is in the big leagues 3 seasons after signing with the Braves.
It's really an interesting story. You have a guy, Gulf Coast League and then low A ball, and then released and on to independent baseball.
And look who he gets to face.
Yeah, his major league debut.
In his major league debut, he gets Giancarlo Stanton, Michael Morse, and Martin Prado. It's 2-0. Atlanta has always been thick with bullpen arms leading into a guy like Kimbrel. Whether it was Venters, O'Flaherty, Peter Moylan,
the Australian.
The crowd wants Stanton to get something to hit. He has walked twice in this one. And that is low and outside, and Stanton walks for the 3rd time.
I think we've seen 2 things from the Braves that should be filed away by the Marlins. Number one, they've been very aggressive with their at-bats in the first 2 games of this series. A lot of jumping on fastballs, first pitch hitting. The other thing we've seen, they're not going to throw to Giancarlo Stanton.
Would you?
Unless somebody starts hitting behind him, then that changes things.
Well, here's Morse now.
But the frustrating part is, why would you walk him with no outs, nobody on base?
Morse swings and fouls it back.
Just to start an inning. I'm sure it wasn't intentional. He's making his major league debut. But we saw Alex Wood not really give Giancarlo a whole lot to hit.
I don't know that I give him anything to hit. And you're right, until someone behind him is doing damage or someone in front of him is on base. A 1 pitch to Morse. Morse drives it to right into that corner and deep. but foul.
You know, that's why it was always so amazing, Rich. The years, love him or hate him for what he did, what he supposedly did, Barry Bonds, and the way pitchers pitched to him or didn't pitch to him. He might get 2 or 3 pitches a week to hit, and when he got that pitch, he'd hit it hard. Just amazing.
Stan didn't get a whole lot to hit last year. 24 intentional walks, above and beyond anybody in baseball.
And still 37 home runs.
And Frank Menachino, the Marlins hitting coach who worked so long and hard with Stan, said when he was at his best last year, he wasn't trying to do too much. He wasn't trying to go after pitches out of the zone. And that will be interesting to watch this year with the new contract and all the national exposure, which is much deserved for Stanton. If he continues to be as disciplined as he was last year, he certainly has been tonight. He's walked 3 times. Morse has struck out, flied out. Prado, after Morse, is 0 for 2 as well. Outside corner. Morse turns and glares at Laz Diaz. And Diaz was right on it. He stuck the call. You can see it climbed all over that outside corner.
Well, that's one that when Michael Morse goes back and looks at a little video, he'll see that on Fox Tracks. Maybe make a note of that. Say something to Laz Diaz.
Prado 0 for 2. Stanton still at first. Cold Hard Fact brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. That Arizona game back in 2009. Marlins 14-7. They're a ways away from that right now. They're down 7-2 after falling behind 7-0 in the first inning. Brandon Kinniff. No swing by Prado, and the count is 2-0.
Yeah, I see those, and you know what? The first thing popped into my mind. They're very similar to the no swing of Giancarlo when he was hit, and the no swing of Reed Johnson when he was checking his swing.
What'd you think of Torrey Hunter's check swing yesterday?
At first, I thought it was on the call, but then I found out it was on the Joe West saying he swung. Yeah, not a good call. And Torrey Hunter had a beef.
Counts 2-1. Kinniff last year, really his breakthrough year. He had a 187 opponent's batting average, single A and double A, third best in all of minor league baseball. He's run the count 3-1. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The counts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. It's too bad they've taken the commissioner's name out of the disclaimer, Tommy Hutton. 'Cause it used to be the commissioner of baseball, right? Had to sign off on it?
Yeah.
I was hoping that Ron Manfred would get a little more airtime there.
One of the nice comments the new commissioner Rob Manfred had when asked, I'm sure he was asked this many times, what perk he enjoys the most as being the commissioner. And he said, I get my autograph on every baseball.
Taking tweets and emails and texts. Swing and a miss. Remember, we talked about the new tracking system that we saw at the seminar in Los Angeles. We just got a text from Justin, the intern. He's one of the few guys that has been installing this tracking system in every ballpark. It's been tested at Citi Field, Miller Park, and Target Field last year. Major League Baseball used it in the National League Championship and the World Series. It's called Chiron Higo Track Cab Player Tracking System. Say that 5 times fast. It is here now at Marlins Park. It has been installed, and they are still working out the kinks. That big black box has a camera that has a shot of all players on the field and is able to track their angle, their speed. Ozuna lifts that one. And Kelly Johnson nestles under it, makes the catch. And the Marlins waste a leadoff walk to Stanton. Brandon Kinniff, a successful Major League debut. In Miami tonight, it's all Atlanta. The Braves a 2-1 win last night and a 7-2 lead tonight. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton, Jessica Blaylock. 7 runs and 6 of the 7 hits for Atlanta came not only in the first but at the expense of Matt Latos. Second reliever to work, Sam Dyson, into his second inning of relief. And Jace Peterson, Nick Markakis, and Freddie Freeman to follow.
Yeah, since that first inning, the Braves have had one baseman. That was the infield single by Simmons in the third.
Emails and tweets tonight. Bobby noting that Tommy drew the comparison to Barry Bonds, feels that that's a respect that he's earned. And I'm with you until the Marlins prove that they can do damage behind him and put runners on in front of him. It's going to keep happening.
And I think what we might see from Mike Redmond, he may go with a hot hand. If all of a sudden Michael Morse gets on a hot streak, he'll stay there. If a Marcell Ozuna gets on a hot streak, he could slide him into that number 4 spot behind Stanton.
Jace Peterson walks. We check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you very much. The Marlins, as you know, and all teams do a lot of work well before the big bright lights come on. Today, just before 3 o'clock, Brett Butler doing one of the favorite things for him, and that's teaching the craft that he really excelled at. The all-time Major League bunt leader teaching the craft and the art of bunting to Christian Yelich. Echeverria was there, Donovan Solano, and of course, D. Gordon. Butler, 245 bunt hits in his career, really wants to make it a part of D. Gordon's game, but of course he told us that he's got to buy in, and he has. And this is how he explained it to D. Gordon, guys. He said, look, if you get 5 hits out of 10 at bats, what do you think? He said, I'm ecstatic. He said, if you make 5 outs and 10 bunts, how do you feel? He said, I feel bad. He said, whoa, same thing, 500. He said, in fact, Brett Butler hit .499 in his bunt career, 245 hits, a near 500 average on bunts. And D. Gordon said, I never thought of it like that. We saw a great bunt last night. Obviously, he slipped and fell. Would have been a bunt hit. And we'll see a lot more of this, I think, with all that extra work they do here. It's going to pay off for the Fish. Guys?
All right, Craig. Giancarlo Stanton with a strong throw to third, but not in time to get the fleet-footed Jace Peterson. Nick Markakis has another base hit, his second hit of the night.
Tremendous base running, and I think already in the 2 games we've seen the athleticism of Jace Peterson. Good jump, good running, and a strong throw from Giancarlo. I like Prado. He kind of took the throw. A lot of third basemen will do that on that play, as if there's not going to be a play, as if the throw isn't coming his way, to try to decoy Peterson, but Peterson beat it.
Oh, it looked like on the approach, I don't think Stanton expected Peterson to go first to third.
If there was anything done incorrectly on that play, Stanton got caught a little flat-footed.
And now Dyson in a tight spot at the corners, and a run producer at the plate in Freddie Freeman, who drove in a run with an RBI double in the first. He has struck out twice since. Up the middle into center field, and Freeman has knocked in another run. It's 8-2 Atlanta. Freeman headed to second. Stanton's throw not in time there, and holding third is Nick Markakis. So Atlanta's not done yet. The Braves stretch the lead to 8-2, and they've got runners at second and at third. Braves tomorrow night. It's the first Chevron Crazy 8 Wednesday. Chevron receipt of 8 gallons or more gets you to the box office. Gets you $18 Lexus Legends level ticket or a $28 home plate box ticket. That's tomorrow night. Braves on Wednesday. The Rays are here, amazingly, right into interleague. The Rays across the state will come for a Friday night game, Saturday at 4:10, Sunday 1 o'clock game.
Well, Atlanta, Rich, tonight 6 for 9 with runners in scoring position.
Infield in. Bethancourt is up, and he fouls it at the plate. Brandon wants to know, how's the scheduling done every year to accommodate interleague games, and why are there 2-game series? Well, the scheduling is not an easy thing to do. It's easier now that there are 15 teams in each league as far as interleague. It used to be a big clump in the middle of the season. Now it's spread out from start to finish.
Yeah, there is always an interleague series going on. Right now it's the Phillies hosting the Red Sox.
And those are the only 3 games the Marlins will not play against the National League East in their first 28.
Well, the Marlins will be tested right away within their division. There's no question about that.
And we made the statement that they better figure out the Braves quickly if they're going to have some success in April, because they've got the Braves in Atlanta after the Rays series. So 6 of their first 9 against Atlanta. Prado to first in time to get Bethancourt. You hear it around baseball from fans, from players, from broadcasters who always say, man, who makes the schedule in Major League Baseball? And when you talk to Major League officials, you find out pretty quickly that it's a job that no one wants to have because of this. Teams, before the season starts, will turn in a list of dates they want.
We'd like to have a July 4th weekend.
And dates they don't want. We don't want to play in April or May because schools, we don't want to play. There's a big concert. The Who, U2. Remember, U2 actually just placed the Marlins out of a series. And so many teams have different agendas on when they want to play, where they want to play, that when you try to put that puzzle together, if you're Major League Baseball with an interleague schedule as well, that's not easy. And that's why you have some oddities to the schedule. And the 2-game series come about with interleague play. if you get a rain out in that interleague city, it can really be a problem later in the season. And so oftentimes you'll get a 2-game series with a day off before or a day off after because of that. The tough part scheduling.
Well, as an example, in June, the Marlins play the Yankees 4 consecutive games. They play on a Monday, Tuesday here at Marlins Park, June 15th and 16th, and then head up to New York and play June 17th and 18th at New Yankee Stadium.
Most of the travel this year is a little easier for everyone in the interleague because all the divisions cross over. The National League East playing the American League East. The Centrals will play, and the National and American League West divisions are matched up in interleague play. 0-1 pitch. Bags loaded here in an 8-2 Atlanta lead.
Yeah, the bottom line is that no one would want that task to put together the schedule.
It's easy to look at and say, this makes no sense. Why do they do this?
And every team says that.
And there's a great reason why they do it. Because Team X didn't want to play on this date. Team Y wanted to be home on this date. 1-1 coming. Dyson looking for a double play right now.
He's got a guy up there who's capable. You see Casey McGee at the top. Saw where Casey had a couple of hits in San Francisco's first game yesterday. But Chris Johnson, third on that list, grounding into double plays.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. There's a roller to Echeverria. The turn by Gordon. And there's a double play by Dyson to finish the inning. Atlanta adds on. The Braves in command of 8-2.
Well, it is email and Twitter Tuesday, and one of the things that we like to do is take a look around the Twitterverse and look at some of our favorite follows. Let's get to some Major League Baseball follows. How about at MLB? You can also follow at MLB Roster Moves to see where some of your favorite players may end up. Also, at MLB Stat of the Day, that's a good one for always tweeting out cool stats about Major League Baseball. At Ken_Rosenthal. Ken Rosenthal, such a great follow, as is Sam Ryan. You can find her at Sam Ryan MLB. And you can follow all of our broadcast team as well. I am at Jess Blaylock. Rich, Tommy, I know you guys have Twitter handles as well. What are those?
I'm simply at Rich Waltz.
And I'm simply at T. Hutt.
Cody Martin. This is a perfect storm for Freddie Gonzalez, who used his 3 most experienced relievers last night in a 2-1 ball
Actually,
game.
I'm not so simply at T. Hutt.
It's not so simple, is it?
No, it's not. I'm at T-Hut 14.
All right, let's get that straight. Martin's 0-1 pitch. Saltalamacchia swings and fouls it back. Cody Martin making his major league debut last night.
You mentioned it, Rich, between innings. Just perfect situation for Freddie Gonzalez.
Luis Avilan, Jim Johnson, Jason Grilli, the three most experienced arms he had last night, all got important outs and finished a 2-1 win last night. In a blowout here, Cody Martin strikes out the first guy he faces in the big leagues, and it's Jared Saltalamacchia. Brandon Kinniff made his major league debut after Alex Wood's start. Kinniff worked a scoreless sixth. So Cody Martin out of Dos Palos, California, a Gonzaga Bulldog, and so Mike Redmond watches from the Marlins dugout, a former Gonzaga Bulldog as well. 7th round pick was Martin. Been in the minor leagues since 2011. And he was a reliever at Gonzaga. That's a swing and a strike. Some defensive changes.
Yeah, we saw Freddie Gonzalez make these changes last night. Eric Young moved from center over to left. Kelly Johnson out of the game, and Cameron Maben, who spent all of spring training with the Padres, is in center.
Echeverria goes down. Well, this is quite a debut for Cody Martin, who's been very good in the minor leagues on his way up. Now he'll get to face Ichiro. And no doubt, while Martin was in Spokane, Washington, across the state from Seattle, Spokane, home of the Gonzaga Bulldogs, he was watching this guy on television in his final years as a Seattle Mariner. Ichiro bounced out last night. Takes a strike here.
Yeah, I would imagine every time he turned on that television, he saw Ichiro getting a base hit.
See the numbers last year as a Yankee. Tapper towards short. Simmons quickly to first in time to get Ichiro. And how about that? Cody Martin's big league debut. 1, 2, 3. And it's 8-2 Atlanta. And tomorrow's starters were brought to you by Chevron. Shelby Miller makes his Atlanta debut. Tom Kohler gets the ball for Miami. Miller coming over from the St. Louis Cardinals in that Jason Hayward, Jordan Waldman trade. Kohler entering yet another year in the Marlins rotation, and if the Marlins can get an ERA of 3.71 over 32 starts like they got from Kohler last year, I think they'll be quite happy. It's tomorrow night, Marlins Park, 6:30 for Marlins Live. Brian Morris comes into the ball game. Morris will face Andrelton Simmons, Cameron Maybin in the 9 spot, and then Eric Young Jr. In a game that got away from Miami and Matt Latos in the first. The Braves an 8-2 lead here. 7 runs, 6 hits in the first, shortest outing ever in Matt Latos' career.
Well, he's been back on the bench the entire game, thinking about his next start. That's all he can do. And I've always thought one of the toughest things for a starting pitcher every 5 days, he's got to wait all that time. You have a horrible game as a hitter and you're an everyday player, you're back out there the next night. And what a job Brian Morris did last year. A lot of times a player will come from one team where he had success. Morris was 4-0 in 21 games with the Pirates, had an ERA in the 3s. Sometimes you make that transition to a new team and everything doesn't work out, but he was even better as a Marlin. 4-1 record and an 0.66 ERA in 39 games.
And he's counted on this year to build the bridge to Steve Cishek, and you would expect to see Steve Cishek tonight, even in a blowout game. Mike Redmond needs to get him some work just to keep him sharp and get him ready for tomorrow night, and hope that he's in a position to save a game tomorrow night. Simmons knocks one into center field. He's had a productive night, 3 hits from the 8 spot, and Andrelton Simmons is aboard. And here comes Cameron Maybin. Well, the Braves television numbers strong throughout the South, and certainly strong in Asheville, North Carolina, but they may get a few more households, including the Maybin household in Asheville. Cameron grew up in Asheville and grew up around that minor league team, the Asheville Tourists.
You know, still just 28 years old, Cameron Maybin. A lot of injuries, unfortunately. He's had wrist, knee, bicep tendon.
Some minor league franchises have rich tradition. You played in Spokane for the many feel the greatest minor league team ever assembled, that Dodgers AAA team in the early 70s.
1970.
And that's a great legacy of great names, right? Lopes, Garvey.
Lopes, Garvey, Valentine, Pashoric, Buckner.
All right. Well,
Charlie Huff.
The Asheville Tourists have a legacy as bat boys, and Maybin was a bat boy growing up. Some of the other bat boys, the Ripken brothers, their father was managing there, so Billy and Cal were bat boys.
All right, you got middle infield and a center fielder so far.
Little tapper. Gordon flips back to Echeverria. Maybin is safe at first. Tom Wolfe, the author, was a bat boy. Roy Williams, the head basketball coach at North Carolina, was a bat boy there. And Charles Thomas, former Braves and Oakland Athletics outfielder. That's pretty good company.
That's pretty good. I don't think we had those kind of bat boys in Spokane.
No. MC Hammer not included in that list, though he was around the Oakland Athletics. And Charlie Finley. Famous bat boys for 200. Although Hammer was more than a bat boy, Charlie Finley gave him a lot more to do than just pick up the bats and clean the spikes.
I saw a great sight this spring, and happy, by the way, that Reed Johnson hooked on with the Nationals. He had his young son with him, 4 or 5 years old, full uniform, had Marlins uniform, and he was outside the clubhouse early spring one day, knocking out dirt of the cleats, cleaning shoes. He put him to work.
Very nice. Eric Young Jr. bounces into a double play. 8-2 Braves here in Miami tonight. big first inning for the Braves. Alex Wood got out of trouble, a bases loaded, nobody out spot in the first, and he was very smooth after that.
Yeah, we talked about Alex Wood, the left-hander. He'll run his record to 3-3 in his career against the Marlins. But a guy the Marlins will see a lot this year. Cody Martin's still out there. Speaking of Cody's, Cody Ross, one of our favorites, was released by the Diamondbacks the other day, and I believe he's been picked up by the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, we had a tweet about that, wanting to know.
They have some outfield holes with Coco Crisp down.
It's a great spot for a guy like Cody Ross. Oakland's always been able to squeeze something out of a veteran player who is looking for a chance at redemption or coming off an injury. And for Ross, he's had a few of them.
Use him in the outfield, DH maybe once in a while.
As you've noted, Coco Crisp on the DL right now.
And transitioning from that, Rich, from Oakland, from the Bay Area, we forgot to mention a lot of things going on last night with opening day. We forgot to mention the passing of Hall of Fame broadcaster Lon Simmons.
91, Simmons, who was such a giant in the industry, and you know, baseball on radio is such a regional thing, because people in the East probably didn't hear Lon Simmons call a game. They've heard Vin Scully, because as baseball has become more available on the internet, and obviously Scully's work on national television. But a guy like Lon Simmons was just a giant in the industry for the Giants, with Russ Hodges, who came from New York with the Giants. They teamed up in the late 50s through the 60s into the 70s. Simmons was a terrific voice of the San Francisco 49ers as well. So Yelich steps in. And our Toyota Trend on opening day last year, 27 years and 115 days. That was the youngest in baseball, 11th youngest this season, are the Marlins. But Lon Simmons passing away, and I had the chance growing up to listen to Simmons as both a Giants broadcaster, a 49er broadcaster.
With Bill King.
And then
Bill King.
With Bill King for 15 years with the Oakland Athletics. And I think a lot of people on the East Coast who didn't get a chance to hear Lon Simmons also didn't get a chance to hear the late Bill King, who was an absolute star in the Bay Area in 3 sports. The Warriors in the NBA, the Raiders, and the Athletics. Yelich takes outside. There is Cishek.
Well, you brought that point up last inning, that Mike Redmond will try to get an inning for Steve Cishek, and we've got our answer.
Fastball misses away to Yelich. Mike Redmond watching a former and a fellow Gonzaga Bulldog, Cody Martin, make his major league debut.
Former Zag.
Redmond's alma mater falling short, though they had a terrific year, falling short of the Final Four. Redmond was not drafted, and that's unusual for a guy like Redmond, who had a long major league career. He was 13 years in the big leagues and was a career .287 average. He wasn't drafted out of Gonzaga.
No, he just signed as a free agent in 1992.
Yelich up the middle into center field, the base hit. And for Christian Yelich, the second hit of the night. He leads up, with 1 out in the 8th, has himself aboard at first.
Well, one thing we saw and will see for many years to come, Christian Yelich uses the entire field. We see him pull base hits. We see him go the other way, and this one right back up the middle. Like Cody Martin may have gotten a little bit of his shoe on it, but 2 hits tonight for Christian Yelich. Yeah, there was a point in time for Mike Redmond where the Marlins were actually considering releasing him. Maybe you ever thought about coaching in the minor leagues, maybe managing in the minor leagues, and There were some injuries with the big club, and all of a sudden he came up and became one of the best, one of the most consistent backup catchers for a 10-year period.
I heard Kevin Millar on MLB Network talk about Redmond, and that the Marlins really liked the way he worked with pitchers, so much so that oftentimes they'd bypass him some thought for promotion because they liked the work he was doing at that level. And you're right, there was a time where they thought, yeah, he's going to be a coach or maybe a minor league manager. Stanton swings and misses, and the count is 1-2. Stanton has been walked 3 times tonight, but Martin is going after him here. Counts 1-2.
Yeah, Red first joined the Marlins in '98, and in his 37 games that year with the big club, hit .331.
Stanton takes out. Martin thought he had a strikeout. See his look on the mound. And you know what? Fox Track says he did have one. So Stanton got a break. 2-2 coming. End of the bat, and a high pop sends Simmons out. Brings Young in. And Young makes the catch. MLB.TV Premium, #1 live streaming sports service, celebrating 13 years. Every out-of-market regular season game is live or on demand in true HD, real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget. A pitch tracking widget. MLB.TV Premium includes a free at-bat 15 subscription. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Tommy, you have that on your iPad, the pitch tracking widget?
No, I have it on my iPhone 6, though.
Had a lot of tweets from Israel tonight. Zach is up at 4:40 a.m. watching his Passover, and it's Passover at the park, right?
Mm-hmm. And attorney night at the park.
There are the Passover at the park shirts.
We're told that is Marlins in Hebrew.
Well, there you have it. It's 8-2 through 8. Your South Florida Honda dealers. Hey, where's the fish? There you go. We've had a few emails and tweets asking for more fish tank. Steve Cishek to face Chase Peterson, 2, 3, 4 in the Atlanta order. It's been all Atlanta tonight. We've had emails and tweets on a night where the Braves jumped not only the Marlins but Matt Latos. 2/3 of an inning. Latos giving up 7 runs and 6 hits. Peterson, good young prospect at second base, got to the big leagues at the end of last year with the Padres. Was 1 for 3 last night. Has walked twice and scored a run tonight. And Cishek with a count 0-2.
Well, important for Cishek to get out there first outing of the year, even though it's not a save situation. And so far, he's thrown strikes. He made some good pitches.
Yelich back and makes the catch. Peterson is out. Email from Benjamin, who's up past his bedtime, it sounds like. A lot of people like to talk how the Braves have owned the Nationals. Any team that the Marlins have owned, or any team that seems to own them. Well, the Braves up until last year.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier.
And Freddie Gonzalez, especially when Freddie Gonzalez arrived from Miami, and the Braves really had the Marlins number. Braves, you're right, have given the Nationals issues. Marlins had a run of great success against the Nationals.
It kind of goes ebbs and flows. There was a time the Marlins had a good run against the Phillies, and then that kind of flipped around the other way. You really have to stay in your division to put those together. It's hard to say you've had success against a team that you only see 4 or 5 times a year, maybe 6 times tops.
One pitch is out. Nick Markakis has had an eventful series so far. He knocked in both runs in a 2-1 win last night. Has 2 hits, an RBI, and has scored a run tonight. Markakis walks. Marlins Live, presented by Checkers, is coming up. Rocky start for the Fish. Tight one last night, and the Braves have handed it to the Marlins tonight. Cishek, walk to Markakis, foul back. This is emptying out the email bag. Jonathan. This is actually Jonathan Zaslow. Doesn't know anything about Jessica Blaylock, but likes her because her Twitter bio says she loves The Office and Led Zeppelin.
By the way, as odd as it was to see the first rain delay at Marlins Park last night, guess where they're having a rain delay tonight? Dodger Stadium.
And that song was popular when you were in Spokane as a Spokane Indian with Garvey and Say and Buckner. It never rains.
Well, in Southern California, but it sure rained a lot in Spokane.
Yeah, well, it snows there. Here's the one, too. I spent enough time there to know that. That one is fouled out of play.
And no problem up in the Northwest for King Felix last night. And the Mariners, 4-1 win against the Angels. 10 strikeouts in his 7 innings. The only blemish, he gave up a home run to Mike Trout.
Freeman fouls it back. It's last call for tweets and emails.
George has a quick tweet. Will the Marlins ever retire any jersey numbers? I think in time, yes.
2-2. Freeman, a liner that skips under the glove of Gordon and snakes into right field. We'll see how that is scored. He hit it hard, though Gordon will tell you he probably should have had it. It's a base hit.
Ball was hit hard. Freddie Freeman does that a lot. You're right, though, and I agree. It had some sink to it. B. Gordon will say, got to make that play. But he didn't. And it'll be a base hit. Ball was hit hard by Freddie Freeman.
Which jersey number would the Marlins retire? I'll tell you one guy they should consider, and that's Gary Sheffield. I know Sheffield played for a lot of teams, but you look at his body of work, and a lot of his damage was done as a Marlin. He himself has said that if he goes to the Hall of Fame, he would like to go in as a Marlin.
And then who knows, maybe somebody from this current roster years down the road.
Well, what about the 2003 team? Is it, I know he's not retired, but a Josh Beckett?
Really tough because you'd like to see somebody with a larger body of work with a particular team.
Well, Jeff Conine was on that.
Jeff Conine would be a good choice.
David Phelps in the bullpen. If there was a sentimental vote, the guy that officially retired this year, Dontrelle Willis. I know Dontrelle Willis didn't have a long career, but the career he had burned really very, very brightly as a Marlin. Chuck Hernandez is out. Steve Cishek is out of whack. And the Braves have got the bags loaded with an 8-2 lead in the ninth.
And that's what happens. There was a point in time last year for Cishek where for a few outings, as you put it, he got out of whack. And with that delivery, with his elbows and knees, the way he delivers, he can see that happen once in a while, but he's got much better in putting it back together. Last year, of course, 39 saves for Cishek. 34 in 2013. And any closer will tell you the hardest time to come in and pitch is when the game is not on the line and you're just out there to get some work. Alberto Callaspo pinch hitting here.
Caden wants to know, I know it's just 2 games, but what do you think this Marlins season is going to look like come September?
Well, it's interesting. It's a good point and a good question, because last year, making the leap that the Marlins did, there were absolutely no expectations. This year, there are expectations. Sometimes a little more difficult to play under that. But certainly a better team, a much better team out there on the field than last year.
Anytime you have a target on your back, it's much different than when you're chasing the pack, which the Marlins were last year.
It'll be different for that man, for Mike Redmond.
Into right field, Alberto Callaspo will knock in a run, and the Braves stretch the lead to 9-2.
Well, we saw Callaspo start the game last night at third base. Had a base hit and picks up a pinch hit there.
Mike Redmond on his way out. And Steve Cishek not sharp in his 2015 debut. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. 9th. The Braves in firm command of this one. David Phelps on the scene, and he makes his Miami debut. Phelps, just like Brad Hand, able to start games. In fact, pitched very well in the spring. Rough outing from Matt Latos in this one. He lasted just 2/3 of an inning, and Hand came in and pitched quite well. Did not give up a run in his 5 innings of work.
David Phelps, 28 years old, out of the University of Notre Dame. And you're right about his versatility. He's had 10 or more starts each of the last 3 years, as well as pitching out of the bullpen during that time. Had 17 starts last year in 32 games with the Yankees. Came over with Martin Prado in that deal that sent Nathan Eovaldi and Garrett Jones to the pinstripes.
Chris Johnson, RBI double in the first, is bounced into a double play, a 1-for-4 night for Johnson. Infield's double play depth. Phelps with no place to put Chris Johnson. He misses with a fastball down. Twitter is suggesting that Luis Castillo or Mike Lowell should be considered as a retired number.
Yeah, I saw some other suggestions on Twitter. Jack McKeon, maybe an Al Leiter.
End of the bat, little flip into right field, lands in front of Stanton, and Chris Johnson's got an RBI single. The Braves make it an even 10. Tomorrow night, Tommy, the only solution to bust Miami out of this is camera 12, which, if you don't follow Marlins baseball, is our exclusive Clevelander camera. And things are rather quiet in the Clevelander, which is odd. After the game, they get fired up. But tomorrow night, camera 12 arrives. And if that doesn't get things going, at least it'll entertain the kids at home. Not literally the kids at home.
I knew what you meant.
Corey wants to know, from north of the border, as a former Expo player and broadcaster, again, full house for the 2 exhibition games.
Yeah, they played 2 exhibition games against the Cincinnati Reds.
Baseball going to go back there. The commissioner has said that unless there's a ballpark plan, a firm one in place.
Has to be planned. He did say it doesn't have to be completed. But then you have to say, well, is there going to be expansion, or is there a team? Then you look at teams, and you would look at the Rays, you would look at Oakland, 2 teams that are thinking about new ballparks. I thought one of the really nice moves in that series, remember in that trade for Matt Latos, the Marlins sent Anthony DeSclafani and minor leaguer Chad Wallach to Cincinnati. Well, the Reds brought Chad Wallach, the minor league catcher, and when he they pinch hit him in a game. Brian Price was nice enough to do that. He was announced as Tim Wallach's son, Chad Wallach. Of course, Tim Wallach had a tremendous career with the Expos, and they said Chad Wallach got a larger round of ovation than Joey Votto.
Now that's awesome. With the right stadium, I think it would work, and I think it would be a big success.
That's 2 years in a row they've had exhibition games that have drawn well over 40,000 each game.
Cameron Maben fouls it off. It's 10-2. Shayna tweet saying, you guys were just talking about it snowing in Spokane. She's in Spokane. It snowed there yesterday.
I just saw that.
Phelps misses. The count's 2-2. There's 2 outs. Bags are loaded. David fouls it off. So camera 12 tomorrow night to try to shake things up. It's an 8-run Atlanta lead. This is just 2 runs away from the 10-run reel, and they're the ball into right center field. That's going to be a 2-run single. The Braves have made it 12-2. Cameron Maybin, the former Marlin, stretches the lead to 10 runs.
Boy, got a high fastball, and the really tough part in this inning is that all 4 of the runs in this inning are charged to Steve Cishek.
And his ERA will be large, not as large as Matt Latos, who gave up 7 runs, but it'll be up there to start the season. And Phelps now just trying to end this. Runners at the corners. Maybin drives in 2. Eric Young takes up. Young has an RBI hit. Had 2 at bats back in the first inning.
Well, believe it or not, Rich, the Latos ERA right now with his 2/3 of an inning, giving up 7 earned runs, 94.50. Steve Cishek 108.
I was off on
ERA,
that.
yeah.
Miscalculated. All right, so the Braves are done. It's a 10-run lead going to the bottom of the 9th. For the Atlanta Braves, 2 runs, 5 hits for Miami. Now the Braves have been able to get a couple of youngsters in there to get their major league debut. Brandon Kenneth, Cody Martin, and Juan Jaime arrives here. Jaime got a taste of the big leagues last year with Atlanta, and he gets Martin Prado in the 9th.
Yeah, so this not his major league debut. big right-hander out of the Dominican Republic. Here's one way to look at the first 2 games here. If there was any thought, and I'm just saying if because I don't think there was in that Marlins clubhouse that, hey, we've got a good team, been put together, everything fell into place in spring training. If there was any thought that you could just go out there and win a lot of games.
Throw that preseason publication out there and say, hey, we're supposed to contend.
Throw all those predictions. Going to make you think, make you regroup a little bit. So, in a way, learn from this and come back.
Well, as you pointed out, Miami last year didn't have any expectations. And when they faced the Braves last year, and as you pointed out, also had a winning record against the Braves last year, it was the Braves that were supposed to go to the postseason. The Marlins made a big improvement. Atlanta a step back. The Braves won just 79 games last year. But this year, most feel that the Braves aren't headed anywhere and that the Marlins have a chance to take that next step.
So not many expectations on the Braves.
And the Braves have come out and played quite well. Freddie Gonzalez has been in this spot before with a young team that's building. And it was as a Marlin manager. Ozuna fouls it back. You go back to that 2008 team, which won 84 games. 2009 won 87. Jaime misses out, and it's 1-2. Marcell Ozuna. Well, Kimbrel headed to San Diego the night before opening day yesterday. A lot of spots in the bullpen were shuffled. Grilli promoted to closer. Jason Grilli filled it last night. He's done it in his career. He's done just about everything in his career. Though he did keep his shirt on intentional talk today, which was good to see. And Jim Johnson now the 8th inning guy. So a lot of the youngsters, I got to really like what you've seen from Cody Martin tonight. They will lean on the youngsters because they can't pitch Johnson, Grilli, and Avilan every night. Simmons is there and he makes the catch. Ozuna's out. Tom Kohler tomorrow night. And he's up against Shelby Miller. The Braves 1 through 3 in their rotation run out some really good young major league top of the rotation guys, and they saw it last night. Did the Marlins? Julio Teheran at 21, Alex Wood at 24, Shelby Miller is 24, and he goes tomorrow night.
Just a couple of more tweets on some possible retired numbers. Luis Castillo, Juan Pierre.
This is not a comfortable at bat, is it? I mean, you watch Jaime firing pitches up and out, missing the strike zone by 2 feet, nearly taking the arm of Christian Bethancourt off.
This is where it becomes an important at bat, though, for Saltalamacchia, who's not swung the bat well first couple of games. So sometimes one at bat can get things turned around a little bit.
Saltalamacchia 0 for 3 last night, 0 for 3 tonight.
2 strikeouts last night, a couple of strikeouts tonight.
Saltalamacchia strikes out again. So 5 strikeouts in the first 2 ball games. And here comes Echeverria.
Where that front side pulls off, head pulls off, and you just lose track of the ball.
Braves are giving Prado second. He bolts for second as Echeverria fouls it off. The Nationals and the Mets not in action tonight. Last night, or late in the afternoon, the Mets came from behind. Bartolo Colon beating Max Scherzer. And the Nationals are 0-1. The Mets and the Nationals resume their series tomorrow.
Bad weather in Chicago tonight. That Cardinal-Cubs game was postponed early.
Jacob deGrom, Jordan Zimmerman tomorrow. Hopefully by the time they restart that series in Chicago, they get enough porta potties in there to serve the Wrigley faithful. His opening night was not pretty. That one fouled out of play. The Rockies are beating Milwaukee again. How about Kyle Kendrick last night fueling that shutout? Kendrick, the opening day starter for the Rockies. It's 5-2 Colorado on top of Milwaukee, bottom 7 right now.
They got some offense. The Rockies did last night. Arenado, home run, 4 RBIs. Tulo was 3 for 5.
Echeverria fouls it back. As you've noted, Dodgers and Padres rain delay in Los Angeles. Out on the West Coast, Texas and Oakland underway, scoreless. Angels, Seattle scoreless. On a hop, Simmons across the diamond, and this one belongs to the Braves. What a start for Atlanta. 7 runs in the first, and they cruise to a 12-2 drubbing of the Marlins. And Atlanta has opened the season at 2-0. Miami, with all the expectations, has started 0-2. 14 hits for Atlanta. The Marlins muster just 5 hits against Alex Wood and a young bullpen tonight for the Braves. Marlins approached game 2 trying to redeem themselves from last night, and the Braves came out and smacked him in the mouth. And smacked him good with 7 runs in the first. Marlins Live. We'll recap tonight when we return.